So you want to get into cycling, maybe to ride for fun at the weekends, for commuting, to get fitter, to go on adventures, or maybe with the hopes of getting into racing.
In this video, we're going to tell you the basics of everything that you need from the bike, the tech and the kit so that you can get started in cycling. We're also going to tell you where to spend your money and where to save your money and how much everything should typically cost.
Well, here at GCNTech, we're often always talking about high-performance bikes. There's still a lot of good stuff to be said for the more entry-level side of the sport. And the more people we see cycling with really good, functional tech and equipment, the happier we are.
Yeah, so we've compiled a quick fire list of all the essential items. We're going to go into them in a bit more detail, but here's the quick fire list. You're going to need a bike, helmet, shorts, a jersey, a rear light, a pump, an inner tube, tyre levers, saddlebag, a bottle cage, and, well, your bike might not come with these, so pedals too.
So with all of the above stuff, you're pretty much going to be set to go cycling as far as you're happy to go. I mean, could you have a little bit less stuff? Yes, probably, but these are the essentials that we feel are going to allow you to get the most from yourself, enjoy cycling to its fullest, and have some spares in case you encounter a dreaded puncture.
Now, with all the kit we're going to talk about, you have the option to spend as much or as little as you like. But we're going to go into more detail about where we advise you should spend and save with all the experience that we've amassed over the years in cycling.
Where are we going to start?
The bike.
This, I think, is the most important piece of the puzzle and probably where you should look to spend the majority of your money. But I think it's important to acknowledge here, everyone's budget is like wildly different. I mean, if you are one of the lucky people that's able to spend thousands on your first bike, happy days for you. However, I feel like the majority of people are going to be far better suited to a bike, which is, say, maybe the £300 to £500, euros or dollar marker as where's to kick them off.
Yeah, that'll get you into cycling and it's a perfectly functional and usable bike. If you do have a much bigger budget than that, then I would suggest like an entry-level carbon frame with a good mid-tier group set on, like Shimano 105. And I would suggest that you don't go above that, because if you're a beginner, you know, you could spend loads and loads of money if you're super rich and get like Dura Ace and a top-end frame, but you're not going to be able to extract the performance from it, and you're not going to be able to appreciate how good it is, and you've got nowhere to work up to beyond that. You'd be much better off getting something that is mid-tier, see if you like it, see if you get into it, and see if it's for you, and that will be more than good enough.
Yeah, you've also got the option of whether you buy used or new. Buying used means you've perhaps got access to a bike which would have cost more in the first place and would be more higher performance orientated. But buying new removes the guesswork out of buying something that's used, where you might have damage to some parts or some parts might just be a bit worn out.
If you are considering buying used because you can get more for your money, but you're unsure what you should be looking for, don't worry. We've got a handy video that tells you everything you need to know. We'll link it below. The key thing to look for is safety certification on a bike helmet you buy. So for example, in the EU, they have CE certification, and this is something that's applied to any safety equipment. For it to be legally sold, it has to have that safety standard on it. In other parts of the world, there are different but kind of equivalent safety standards that things need to apply to. So for example, this is a real entry-level helmet, and it has the CE EN1078. That's a premium aero helmet from Met that costs way, way more.
But it also has the same CE safety certification.
So while something that's entry level is not quite as refined, doesn't quite have as nice a sort of padding in it, and it's maybe in the eyes of some not quite as stylish, it does the job. And so if you are just looking for a functional helmet that's going to protect your head and conforms to standards, you can save significant money there. And something like this typically costs in the region of around £20, euros or dollars.
Pretty good for starting out with that.
Yeah. Next up, cycling kit. Now, cycling kit and clothing, it can be super expensive.
Yeah, but like lots of other parts within cycling, there's a price point basically where you're getting most of the functionality of top spec stuff, but at a far more reasonable price. And we feel our GCN core range fits that gap lovely.
Shameless plug, it's available in shop.global cycling network. But yes, I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, you could spend less than what stuff like this costs. We've got the infamous Amazon jersey making its return in a size XXXL, which I got for Ollie. Stuff like this is going to cost you like less than £10, euros or dollars, but it's perhaps not the greatest place for starting out at.
No, super cheap cycling kit tends to be made from quite nasty materials, and the tailoring and the cut of it isn't as good. So these materials often just don't feel very nice against the skin, causing a bit of irritation.
Key features that I think you should be looking out for in a jersey are things like a good quality full-length zipper. It's going to make it easy to put on and help keep you cool if you're cycling uphill. You also need to look out for those traditional 3 pockets at the back of the jersey. And if you choose a size which isn't super snug but isn't loose-fitting, when you put the stuff into the jersey pockets, like your phone, maybe some of your spares, it's going to hold it nicely in place rather than sort of sagging and flapping around in the wind.
Yeah.
What about when it comes to cycling shorts?
Well, the common thing that beginners often make the mistake of doing is just getting shorts and not getting bibs. I'm a big fan of bibs, and well, if you don't know this, most cyclists wear bibs. These are the straps that come up underneath your jersey. The advantage of these is they're more comfortable because they keep your shorts in the same place. They don't sort of fall down. You don't get a builder's bum, and you don't get an air gap between the back of your jersey and the top of your shorts, so you don't get cold air rushing up your spine. What you should look for in shorts are a good chamois pad on the inside to give some padding on your saddle and make things a bit more comfortable, and
little grippers.
Yeah, some grippers on the ends of the shorts that just hold them in place on your leg.
I think whilst you could save a significant amount of money and go super cheap on cycling kit, I think you're going to miss out on some of the key sort of components to making it really good and functional, which is going to make it last. And like you said, the padding is the most important thing. Go cheap and it's not going to last very long, is it? And over time, you're going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. Fancy bike GPS computers. They're brilliant for being able to look at your stats as you ride along, but also for navigation and uploading your rides once they're complete. But they are quite a big investment. They're pretty expensive, and you already own a really powerful bike computer in the form of a smartphone. So if you combine this with an app like Strava, you can simply use that for navigation and recording your rides. And there's handlebar mounts that you can use to attach your phone in place too. So when you're just starting out, that's a good place to save some money.
Next thing we should discuss, pumps. Now typically you've got 2 different types to choose from. A track pump or a floor pump, which is much larger than a little mini pump like this. Typically you'd keep your track pump at home and use it for pumping your bike tyres up before you head out riding. And this is what you would take with you to get you out of trouble out on the roadside. However, if you're starting out and you perhaps don't want to invest in 2 different types of pumps, get a little mini pump like this is going to be great because yes, you can pump your tyres up at home, but it's going to take you a long time. But it also means you can take it out with you. Invest in something that is of a reasonable quality, such as one like this, which is constructed from aluminium, and it's going to last you a while. This one I've literally had for almost 10 years. Would you believe that?
Yeah, it's mad.
One thing I think you should consider though is lots of mini pumps like this one don't have a built-in gauge, so you're not going to have a clear indicator of what your tyre pressure is at. But there are ones out there with little gauges built into them.
Yes, and this is a common mistake that beginner cyclists make. They underinflate their tyres, and as a result they get something that's known as a pinch flat or a snake bite, where the inner tube is pinched against the wheel rim, causing a puncture. Now, if you have a floor pump with a gauge on it, it will take that guesswork out because you will know the pressure. And in terms of what is the correct pressure, because I know that's your next question, Silka has a really useful guide on their website. Next, a rear light is a really useful piece of safety kit to have on your bike. And the temptation is to often go for the absolute cheapest ones because they seem good value, but they often have removable batteries. And if you're commuting or using it on a regular basis, you will burn through batteries at an alarming rate, which will end up costing you much more money and is in that way false economy. You're much better off spending a little bit more and getting something that's USB rechargeable and will last you much longer. You can typically pick up a USB rechargeable light that's of good quality for around £20, euros or dollars.
In Inner tubes next, and as a beginner cyclist starting out, you can forget about fancy lightweight inner tubes. You can forget about tubeless. You just need your bog standard black butyl inner tube, which can be picked up for less than £5, euros or dollars. And do you know what? Pick up 2, so you've got a backup.
Yeah, just in case you get a puncture, which sadly will probably inevitably happen at some point. And when you do get a puncture, you're going to need some tyre levers in order to lever the tyre off the rim so that you can take out the punctured inner tube. When buying tyre levers, just go for some standard cheap plastic nylon ones. Don't waste your money on ones that are metal, because they'll probably damage your rims anyway, or carbon fibre ones, which usually break. Just, yeah, good old plastic tyre levers. Brilliant.
Love it. And in order to store these new spare parts that you've got your pump, your tyre lever and your inner tube, you're going to want to use some sort of saddle bag. This is a lot easier than trying to stuff it into your jersey pockets, although if you've got a jersey with 3 pockets, you could do that. Functionality wise, there isn't a vast amount to differentiate between them. You want to choose a saddle bag which has got a secure mounting mechanism and a robust zip. That way it's going to last you a long time, and you can probably look about spending in the region of £20, euros or dollars on this.
You might not need this if you're commuting, but if you're going to be doing anything longer than that, most cyclists will have a bottle and a cage on their bike. Now, most experienced road cyclists will have 2 cages and 2 bottles, but when you're starting out, you can probably just try having just one, save a bit of money, as you might not be going super far anyway. Now, in terms of bottles, they come in different sizes, but Elite make loads of really good ones, available in shop.global cycling network.
Again, 2-in-1 video. We do love it.
Wow, the shop's going to love us.
In order to hold your bottle onto your bike, you're going to need some sort of bottle cage. Now, this is one that I've literally just taken off of my bike. It's super lightweight, fancy, it's made from carbon fibre. You probably don't need something like this. You could save some of your money and spend it on a bottle cage from a reputable brand, but is perhaps constructed from aluminium.
Or plastic.
Or plastic.
Yeah, they typically weigh 10, 20 grams more than a fancy carbon fibre one, but cost a fraction of the price. A fundamental piece of the puzzle, pedals. And we're saying this because most new road and gravel bikes don't actually come with pedals, which means you're going to need to probably invest with them. Although if you buy a used bike, it probably will come with the pedals that the previous owner put on.
Yeah, and if you are in the bike shop looking up on the wall at all of the different fancy options in terms of clip-in pedals and fancy cycling shoes, don't worry about that, because as a beginner cyclist, you're probably going to need to just focus on getting something like this, which is a plastic flat pedal and means you can just use your normal shoes or trainers to go cycling. It also means when you arrive at your destination, if say you've ridden into town, ridden to the park, or perhaps commuted to work, you haven't got to clop around in your cycling shoes. Plus, top spec fancy cycling shoes like this, as nice as they are to have, in some cases, they could cost as much as what you're going to spend on your bike.
Yeah. Now, you can always graduate to clipless pedals and shoes later on, but to begin with, just to get your confidence up, flats are fine, and they're super cheap. Just a pair of plastic ones like this, you can pick them up for £5. Your bike shop might even have some lying around that they don't even use in a drawer somewhere, and they might just give you a set.
That's a really good point. But there's one key thing I think we've actually seemed to have overlooked so far: the bike saddle.
Yes. Now, if you start riding your bike and you find that the saddle is really, really uncomfortable, don't worry, that's normal. It's one of the most common pieces that people change in order to improve their comfort, and that's because people are very individual as to what they find comfortable. Women actually more so than men, and most saddles are designed not with women in mind, unfortunately. That said, there are loads and loads of options out there, and your bike shop will have often test saddles that you can try out, and yeah, a whole range of different ones available in different shapes. Now, the key thing is, if you're looking to save money and not spend loads, which we would advise you do, then don't go for the, again, it's the same old story. The fancy, super lightweight carbon fibre saddle, just something with steel rails and the right shape is the crucial thing. It's the shape of the actual saddle top. That's the crucial bit.
All right, so that's where to spend and where to save on some of the most important essentials to get you started. When it comes to actually buying all of these parts and your bike, you've got 2 options: buy online or buy at your local bike shop. And I think by having some smart spending and choosing wisely, like we've just advised you to, you can expect the total for everything to come in at around, say, the £500 to £750 marker if you're smart with your budgeting and you shop around.
Yeah, and the advantages of buying online are that you have a huge range of things available. It's easy, it's fast, often things to get posted next day, and you have the advantage of shopping around to get the best price possible.
You also have an absolutely vast choice, which leads me on to some of the downsides of shopping online, because with that huge vast choice, it can sometimes seem overwhelming and confusing how to choose and differentiate between products. Also, if you buy something and don't like it or don't get on with it, sometimes the returns process can be slow. Also, you've got no option of trying anything before you buy it. There you go. But when it comes to shopping local, you've got lots of advantages here. You get advice in person, you're supporting something local, you can try the stuff on. Your bike shop is probably going to help you out later down the line, as well as easy returns if you've got problems with stuff. And well, you've got the advantage that if you go somewhere like a bike shop, you're going to make friends and join like a cycling community, so that when you actually go ride on your new bike, you've maybe got people to go cycling with.
Yeah, I mean, bike shops are absolutely great, and you get incredible advice from good bike shops that really are useful, and that try before you buy thing is mega. The downsides of bike shops are that often they just aren't able to hold as much stock as like an online retailer, and so you might not be able to have everything in store to try, or you might have limited choice, and that can also mean that if you are to order the thing that you actually want, it can take a bit more time, and also it might be a bit more expensive because you're not able to sort of shop around to the same extent. That said, like often the advantages really do outweigh those disadvantages.
Yeah, so once you've got into cycling, you've mastered it, you feel like you've taken it on board, and you've perhaps decided, you know what, cycling is my calling in life, and you want to progress further, I think you're probably going to be looking in the region of maybe a year down the line of progress until you start to think, maybe should I get a new bike, or should I start to make upgrades? And well, if that's the case,
it's a slippery slope.
It's a slippery slope, but we're here for you. GCNTech is all about giving you key, crucial information to get the best from you and your bikes. We've also got loads of videos that will help you upgrade and choose where to spend your money and progress your cycling journey.
Yeah, hope you've enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you have, then please subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel. We really appreciate it, and it really helps improve what we do and make better videos for you. So hopefully we'll see you in the next one.
See you later.
Love you, bye.
Bye.